This morning's accident is just one in a series of train derailments in recent months, including the May 28th accident in Rosedale involving a CSX train.
And that accident exposed just how perilous many private rail crossings can be, and it's launched an 11 News I-Team investigation uncovering evidence that says that particular stretch of track in Rosedale may be the most dangerous in the entire country. I-Team reporter David Collins has the story.
What the hell was that? A train just derailed on a huge fire in front of our business right now. It's huge. I don't know if this thing's gonna blow up.
Sir, calm down.
Scary moments, frantic 911 calls. It happened the afternoon of May 28th. Just moments after a CSX freight train carrying hazardous chemicals traveling 49 miles per hour slammed into a refuse truck at a private rail crossing in Rosedale. The collision caused a derailment and explosion, injuring 5 people. The driver of the mangled truck, John Albin Jr., is lucky to be alive. Inside a nearby building, 30-year-old Tim Kerber got clobbered when a ceiling collapsed.
I felt like I could not move, and I felt very short of breath because it was on my back, like just pushing me into the ground. And it was very hard to breathe and see. And at one point I did think, I was like, this might be it.
As bad as it was, it could have been a lot worse. In the opinion of one rail safety expert,
the May 28th crash here on Lake Drive in Rosedale may be a consequence of being connected to the most dangerous 1.8-mile stretch of track in the nation.
Here's why. There are 5 rail crossings and less than 2 miles of track. There's Contractors Road, followed by Schaefer's Lane, Todd's Lane, Batavia Farm Road, and finally the private road connected to Lake Drive, where the May 28th crash happened. 4 of these crossings are private. That means once you cross over them, you're on private property, and there's no gate, no lights, and no warning signals. Our investigation uncovered 31 train vehicle crashes at the 5 Rosedale crossings since 1975. 15 of them in the past 10 years, including 2 fatalities.
I have never seen a corridor anywhere in the United States that has this many private crossings, this many crashes. There's no other place in the country that I've seen that exists that is as dangerous.
Bob Comer has investigated railroad crossing accidents for the past 25 years for law firms and safety advocates.
This is a prescription for another big disaster, and the next one could be a lot worse than May 28th. The reason it's so dangerous is because you have a unique situation here where you have private crossings going across not 1 but 2 railroad tracks of CSX railroad tracks, and you have a lot of heavy trucks.
10 of the crashes were at the Todd's Lane crossing. All of them before it became a public grade with bells, lights, and gates in 2010. Schaefer's Lane just down the track appears even busier and maybe more dangerous. There have been 9 train vehicle crashes at this private crossing since 1977, including 1 fatality. This letter reveals the county considered eliminating the crossing back in 2008, once other improvements had been made. But the county tells us that was for economic reasons, not safety concerns. Comer says the type of traffic at these crossings makes them even more dangerous.
And if a train hits a car, it'll just usually, it's like running over a pop can with your car. But if a train hits a truck, such as the May 28th incident, a lot of times the train will derail.
Since 1978 at Contractors Lane, there have been 6 train vehicle crashes, including 1 fatality. Since 1975, the Batavia Farm Road crossing has seen 4 crashes, all involving trucks.
After 31 incidents, why hasn't the state of Maryland or Baltimore County put more pressure on the landowners and or the railroad to fix this problem?
Baltimore County declined several requests for an on-camera interview, but based on the I-Team's findings, did its own analysis and issued this statement. The police department's analysis over the past 10 years indicates that driver error was involved in each of the accidents reviewed and that signage was in place at each crossing. Although CSX is responsible for maintenance of its private crossings, our police department shares data with CSX officials as we continue to monitor traffic safety in the area.
There's federal money available to make public crossings like this one safer. Maryland gets $3.5 million a year, but it can't be used for private crossings. So the county would have to take ownership of the road, change the classification to public, then ask the state to put them on their rail crossing priority list. CSX would then be asked to hire a contractor and oversee the upgrades.
We asked CSX if it considers this stretch of tracks or the number of crashes a concern, if it's assessing the crossings, considering closing Schaefer's Lane or lowering the speed limit through the area. Its response in part, Your questions may be material to the National Transportation Safety Board's investigation of the Rosedale accident, and we must respectfully decline the opportunity to comment further. CSX also says it complies with Federal Railroad Administration requirements regarding grade crossings and has initiatives aimed at reducing the number of collisions at highway rail grade crossings.
Those 4 remaining private crossings absolutely must be closed, or they have to go Todd's Lane and have lights and gates put in.
Comer warns the next crash could be even worse than the last one. For the 11 News I-Team, I'm David Collins. A frame-by-frame examination of the collision reveals that the CSX Freight Train safety lights or ditch lights were not on. They're located low on the locomotive, close to the eye level of a driver, about the same width of the track. They're designed to catch the attention of motorists. Documents from the freight train event recorder, the black box equivalent to what's carried on commercial aircraft, confirms the train's ditch lights were off at the time of the crash. Railroad locomotive safety standards require ditch lights to be operable on all locomotives. On May 28th last year, the CSX Freight Train collided with a trash truck as the vehicle proceeded over a private rail crossing in Rosedale. The impact caused a derailment, explosion, and fire, damaging several buildings. 4 people, including the truck driver, got hurt.
There's a tremendous smoke cloud on.
Trash truck driver John Albin Jr. told police that as he approached the tracks, he slowed and looked, but never saw the locomotive. The approach to the track is a fairly sharp right-hand curve. At the time of the crash, a faded "Stop, Look, and Listen" sign was obstructed by foliage and hanging upside down. Albin told investigators he had been talking on his Bluetooth cell phone connector as he approached the tracks. Albin told police that he didn't hear the train horn until impact. The train's event recorder data indicates the crew laid on the horn and engaged in emergency braking procedures nearly 20 seconds before impact. This is what ditch lights look like when they're in use. The safety feature is designed to enhance a train's visibility to motorists. They're designed to flash left, right whenever the train horn is used. CSX referred our questions about the train ditch lights to the National Transportation Safety Board, which is investigating the crash. CSX filed a lawsuit against Albin and his trucking company, alleging he was negligent when he crossed the tracks. Albin is challenging the claim. Albin received 7 traffic citations in connection with the crash. A judge found him guilty of 3. Negligent driving, crossing the tracks when unsafe to do so, as well as failing to slow down, stop, and clear a railroad crossing. He paid nearly $600 in fines and court costs. The NTSB determined driver negligence caused the May 28, 2013 train-truck collision at this private rail crossing in Rosedale.
The probable cause of the Rosedale, Maryland crash was the truck driver's failure to ensure that the tracks were clear before traversing the highway railroad grade crossing.
What the hell was that?
The collision created scary moments and frantic 911 calls. The train, carrying hazardous chemicals, slammed into a refuse truck driven by John Albin Jr., resulting in a derailment and explosion. 5 people got hurt, including Albin. The accident caused millions of dollars in property damage. NTSB investigators say that Albin relied on hearing, not seeing trains, as he routinely crossed the tracks. The safety board determined that Albin took a call on his hands-free cell phone 18 seconds before the crash and didn't hear the horn until impact. The board is now recommending a cell phone ban for all commercial drivers.
Auditory testing done by our investigators found that an alert driver would have heard the train horn even with the windows closed on the approach to the crossing.
NTSB investigators found that vegetation and the curvature of the road limited visibility at the crossing. The agency says it remains unclear who's responsible for the upkeep, which includes signage.
In this accident, neither CSX, the private landowner, nor the state of Maryland accepted responsibility for clearing vegetation or posting signage at the crossing.
This is what the crossing looks like today. CSX cleared it and put in new signs. The NTSB noted, however, this happened only after a train collision at the same location in August of this year. The NTSB found that Albin demonstrated a consistent and serious pattern of noncompliance with federal regulations. So the board is calling on the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association to conduct full compliance reviews of its members and revoke certifications if necessary.
We contend that everybody plays a role in this, but we need some clarity because otherwise what we're going to see is everybody's pointing at everybody else.